All right. Thank you so much, Rocky. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Cait Klimowich. I'm the Senior Partner of Customer Marketing here at the Mom Project. And I am so excited to be the moderator of our next session with our partner, Forvis. And today we are talking with Amy Doolin and Cheryl Greer. We'll dive more into who Forvis is, but without further ado, let's start off by asking Amy and Cheryl, can you tell us more about each of you and what you do at Forvis?
Amy, you want to kick us off?
Sure. I'm Amy Doolin, and I've been in public accounting for 17 years, mostly external client facing, but more recently building a centralized team of tax talent to serve our internal tax offices. My passions are people, processes, and automation, and how those can support our Forvis tax teams. That's a little bit about me. Cheryl, take it away.
All right. My name is Cheryl Greer, as they said, and I am the tax leader for our resource management team within Forvis. I've been in practice for over 20 years in various roles, including client service within public accounting, serving in the corporate tax department of a large public company, and now back in public accounting within our resource management team, which allows me to marry my tax knowledge with my passion for our people.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much. And so, for those in the audience who do not know who Forvis is, can you share more about Forvis and the company culture with us?
Absolutely. So Forvis is a top 10 public accounting firm that was created by the merger of equals between BKD and DHG. Our name reflects our forward vision, both for our company and for the accounting profession. We offer assurance, tax, advisory, and wealth management services for clients in various industries. Our purpose is to help those we serve unlock their full potential, and that includes both our clients and our people. Our mission is to build remarkable careers, provide an unmatched client experience through an uncommon commitment to excellence. Now, a remarkable career is an individual journey for each person at our firm. What's important to one person at one point in their life may not be important to another. So it's critical for us to understand what that remarkable career is to each of our team members and to know that it can change over time. For me personally, I am a team leader. I'm a daughter to aging parents. I'm a wife. I'm a mom to two amazing boys, one with special needs and a breast cancer survivor. I know that my vision for my career has changed over time, and I am grateful that Forvis has been able to meet me at each stage where I am. Our goal is to create the best-in-class employee experience, which includes that individual career path, professional development opportunities, and establishing connections among our team members through our 9 employee resource groups, such as our Parents Professional Network and Women Forward, which are just 2 of the 9 that we have available.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. And what a powerful story you have. So thank you so much for sharing with us. Amy, I'd like to ask you, most folks are familiar with traditional accounting career paths, but can you talk more about the alternative career paths for specifically candidates in our TMP community?
Sure. And, that traditional path, if you've been in it, you know it well. If you haven't been in it, you've heard of it. That's the partner track, right? It's you get out of school, you pass the CPA exam, you have sometimes long hours on your journey up to being partner. Where my passion is there is a lot of great talent out there. I was out of public accounting for a few years with my kids, raising my kids back in the day. Empty nesters launched it now. So good. But, when I came back to the profession, I was amazed that we were still letting people walk out the door with such great talent and equity that we built up with them and so much to bring to the table because that was the only path. So I quickly kind of rolled up my sleeves to try to figure out how we could make a difference before we were really formally doing that. A lot of our offices were already figuring that out, but as a firm, we weren't really approaching it on the tax side. So I like to talk about it as a windy road. Your path is windy a lot, especially as females. And so we call it lanes of life. And so my team in particular has a lot of flex arrangements. Some are seasonal. They come during busy season, they go away, go on vacation, stay with their kids, come back. Some work year round, but ramp down their hours. And as long as it fits into when we have the client work, it works well for everybody. Now, the flexibility works both ways, right? And those who are really good at what they do understand that and appreciate that. I'm home today because we had a water pipe burst and my husband is not home. So I was going to go into the office today, but here I am coming to you from the house. So that's kind of how we approach our work. So I think the remote aspect, as I just kind of showed that example, is works very well for working moms or those with elderly at home, or whatever your lane of life is. So the last thing I want to kind of touch on is, in that environment with the flexible work arrangements, we really take a team approach. So if you onboard with us seasonally to help, like right now, we're in the middle of individual tax time, right? We just last week onboarded and re-onboarded for our repeat people. We have hey, meet the team. Let's talk about our kids, dogs, where are we coming from all over the country? And then we do a training of, hey, this is the way we do it here. We know you know how to do it, but here's how we do it here. And then we give them support through that first week. And now this week, they're all off working different hours, some of them, at night and on their own. But we do that onboarding to really try to make a cohesive team environment of support and live chats and everything else. So you still feel like, a full-time member of the team. So I hope that tells the story a little bit. I think it's a very common area and one that I'm very passionate about. And there is great talent out there that fits in those buckets. I had a hard time convincing myself to come back after being out, thinking, I jumped off, I can't jump back on. So you can do it too. And we've gotten better at how we approach it.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. It's never too late. And like we've seen in the comments, they love the lanes of life. And as a mom and as a female, we know that, like you said, it's a winding road. It's not a straight path, and it never is. So thank you for sharing that with us. So, question for the both of you. Forvis thrives on client and employee experience. So can you tell us more about how opportunities at Forvis are more appealing to moms?
Yeah, I can think of a lot, Cheryl, so I don't know where to start.
Yeah, you want to start?
Yeah, the group I just talked about, my group right now during the individual tax season, we have that very organized and structured approach, but we also have a lot of subject matter experts, enthusiasts at a very high level that have years of great experience, but probably will remember the grueling hours and the partner track feel of it. And so they want to start, a little more 20 hours a week, maybe. And I can always tell they want to work more, but they don't want to commit to it because they're afraid it'll turn into a lot more. So we have those conversations year round. Cheryl's talent alignment group helps us connect those folks with the teams, the large C Corp teams and provision teams. I don't want to bore you with the accounting talk if you're not accountants on here, but to make sure they get placed where they're needed across the firm. Because our role, we work together to just make sure the firm's tax department's needs are met in creative ways sometimes. And so that's why we bring the talent in such flexible arrangements.
And that's a great point, Amy. So my team is our centralized resource management team. And a big part of what we do is understand for each of our team members, what is that remarkable career? What lane of life are you in? What is your path looking like right now? Knowing that that can change. And then we bring various opportunities to each of those people. And so, you can probably hear it in my voice. You can see it on my face. Like, number one for me is passion for our people. And what gets me excited is bringing those opportunities to each individual that helps them propel their career forward and work on what excites them. Because we know that if we put projects in people's hands that excite them, that they want to work on, they're going to do well and they're going to excel in their career.
Yeah. Katie, I'd like to add something to that because I think it's about an ever-changing lane of life conversation. I have some people that, started remote because their husband moved for a job and we were like, let's just try it. Then they have, two more kids and their lane of life changes, and then the kids get older so it's an ongoing conversation. I will say though, when I say but work both ways, you onboard strong and you prove that you've got those skills to be able to handle the flexibility. And then it's an annual conversation about, what's working for you, what's working for us, and does anything need to change? So it's not a one and done, locked in, you pick the wrong lane there or the wrong flexible arrangement, and now you're, forever there. I mean, we don't change every month, right? We can't manage that, but we definitely have those ongoing conversations.
That's great. And just being open to change, I think, means a lot, and not just as a mom, but I think to our community as well. And so hearing that you acknowledge that and you take that into account, I think is really great. So for our last question for this session, do you have any last minute thoughts or any advice for our attendees today?
You go ahead, Cheryl.
I was going to say, well, I mean, I was able to listen to the last session, and I think I can say without a doubt that there's a lot of great content here. You have a lot of employers that you're getting exposure to. There's employer booths. Take advantage of every moment. This is great content. And it's an opportunity to meet each of us. And with that, I'll plug our employer booth. We do have an employer booth. So if you'd like to learn more about Forvis or Amy or myself, please stop on by. We have one today and one tomorrow, and we would love to talk to you. But understand what is important to you for your lane in life, and be able to advocate for yourself and communicate that. And to Amy's point, flexibility goes both ways. There are times in my career that the firm has given to me, and then there are times that I give to the firm. And so just understanding that give and take and being able to communicate is key.
I would just add to that, don't self-select yourself out. Get yourself out there and talk about your experience. Don't assume, don't make assumptions about your eligibility for the marketplace, for sure. Get yourself out there and have the conversation, but be prepared, like Cheryl said, with what you really do need. Know that going in so that you know what you're asking for.
That was great. Thank you so much. What a wonderful way to start off this session. So thank you both so much, Amy and Cheryl, for your time today and for sharing more about Forvis, about the mom-friendly work environment, and for reminding us that it isn't too late and that our lanes of life are ever changing. As a reminder, yes, they do have an employer booth on the side. Just click Expo. That's where you can find all of our employer booths. And now I'm going to hand it over to Cait Cornelio, who is our Director of Customer Success, and chatting with Etsy. So Cait, passing it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Katie, and thanks to the entire Forvis team. That was great. Welcome to our discussion about the importance of empowering yourself and those around you to build a supportive workplace and community. My name is Cait Cornelio. I am the Director of Customer Success here at the Mom Project, and I also lead the Mom Project's LGBTQ ERG called PRISM. I have had the privilege of supporting our partnership with Etsy and have seen firsthand their commitment and dedication to supporting working parents. So it's my pleasure to introduce you all to Blair Ellis, Senior Director of Product Design at Etsy. Blair is a designer turned design leader with experience working in publishing, finance, e-commerce, and health tech. She's passionate about doing work that gives people support to thrive in their lives and careers and empowers creativity. She has had the privilege of doing that most recently at Etsy, a two-sided online marketplace and for creative goods and makers, as well as Maven Clinic, a startup building programs to support women and families with their unique healthcare needs. As a design leader working in tech, she prides herself on being an open-minded doer with a commitment to evolving the craft of management and leadership. Outside of work, Blair can be found eating tacos or baking with her 9-year-old daughter in Brooklyn, New York. Thank you so much for joining us, Blair.
Thanks, Cait. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Blair, I'm so excited to talk to you about your experience creating a supportive environment for yourself as a working parent and for the teams that you've led, and more broadly for the company at large. So Blair, tell us all about your role at Etsy.
Sure. Yeah, so excited to be here with you all. Such great speakers so far. Yeah, I can tell you about my role at Etsy. So I lead a design team. I'm in the office and we have some ambulances in Brooklyn going by. Apologies for the background noise. So I lead a design team at Etsy that works on the buyer experience. So if you've ever shopped on Etsy, we build and design that experience. And I manage a team of 5 managers and 22 designers, 7 of which are parents.
Nice. That's a nice big team that you lead. In terms of Etsy's support, what kind of support does Etsy provide to working parents? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, happy to. Etsy, we are very lucky at Etsy. Etsy provides tons of support to our working parents. So that includes, we do 6 months of paid leave following either birth or the placement of a child or children through adoption or foster care. And then alternatively, we also offer credit to parents who don't want to take that full 26 weeks of leave for whatever reason. So it's a flexible benefit. And when parents transition back to work after their leave, when parents are out on leave, we also give managers budget to hire contractors while their employees are out. And that is why we've worked with the Mom Project so much. We found tons of amazing candidates through the Mom Project. Y'all are the best. And then when our parents return back from leave, we offer a few different supports for their transition back to work. So we prepare managers and we sort of educate them on how they can provide a really supportive environment for their direct reports upon returning. We explicitly offer break time during the workday for nursing, and our offices all have parent rooms specifically for pumping and storing milk. And we offer new parents coaching sessions with professional career coaches to give them a little extra support during what we know can be a really difficult transition back to work. So that's just sort of specifically for being out when you become a new parent or grow your family. But we also offer, we have amazing medical benefits, and we help subsidize the cost of the different paths to parenthood. So we also support people through adoption and surrogacy and with fertility benefits. And then for all of our working parents, we also offer backup care and tutoring through a benefits partner, Vivi. And they have both actual sites you can send your child to for childcare tutoring, or they can help you place a provider in your home. And we have one of those actually right across the street that I'm looking at right now from our headquarters in Brooklyn, New York. And then last thing we do is we offer a work-life stipend, and it's a flexible benefit that employees can use toward various eligible activities, but that includes paying for childcare.
That's awesome. And it's so much. There's so many benefits that Etsy offers. I think it really just goes to show how they're such an incredible supporter of working parent employees across the board. In addition to Etsy, what has your experience been like at other companies that you've worked for in terms of support as a working parent?
Yeah. So it's been a while. Now I'm 9 years into being a working parent. I have a 9-year-old daughter. So I can share a little bit about when I first became a working parent at a different company and just how stark of a difference it was. When I first became a working mom, I only had 10 weeks off of work after my daughter Siren was born. And I just still really remember how heartbreaking and hard it was for me to leave my tiny little baby at daycare all day while I went to work. And at that time, I had to sit in a storage closet in my building's hallway to pump during the workday. I'll never forget this. And I had to store my expressed milk in the same refrigerator that we stored our lunch in with all of my colleagues, a little embarrassing. And, then coming to Etsy was such a stark difference. Obviously, I was unfortunately at the end of my nursing days, but just so different. There was these really beautiful parent rooms where you could pump during the day, and just such a supportive work environment, really starkly different. So, since I've been at Etsy, the support that we offer to working parents has really grown tremendously.
Wow. And like, what a story, right? I think you mentioned it was heartbreaking. And I think it's heartbreaking that so many parents still struggle with that lack of support at their companies. But, once you made the move to Etsy, I bet it was comforting to know that other moms and parents would have that support that you previously didn't, get at your previous company when your child was young. So I wanted to shift gears here just a little bit and talk to you about the ERG communities at Etsy. Can you share more about those and more specifically about the parents ERG that you're part of?
Yes, definitely. So Etsy has a long history of having really robust and active ERG communities. Today we have 10 ERGs. And we're always reevaluating what our needs are. Our ERGs have typically grown in a more grassroots way. So we sort of see groups forming around the company around an identity. And oftentimes people have, they've already started forming their own communities. And then over time, we provide more support to formalize the group. And at Etsy, there's a ton of organizational support for our ERGs that we've really built up over time. That includes, we have structured leadership teams that I'm part of the Parents ERG leadership team this year. Those leadership teams are nominated and they're voted in each year. We have executive sponsors. So each ERG has an executive team member who's sort of their sponsor and gives them feedback and guidance along the way. And then every year, our CEO, Josh Silverman, he does fireside chats with every ERG just to have open discussions about what's on the mind of each of those communities. We have a dedicated full-time program manager for all of the ERGs that is amazing. She facilitates and runs the programs. And let's see, other kind of smaller things we do. We just have really robust, active Slack channels that everyone's always having ongoing discussions in and sharing articles and sharing their experiences. In our company-wide newsletter, we announce all ERG events. They typically host kind of company-wide events to help raise visibility of those communities across the company. And last, we recognize our ERG leaders with a stipend at the end of each year-long term that they serve.
Amazing. And you mentioned robust. They're definitely robust and have been built out so well. When I think about too, I know that you're part of the Parents ERG, but you're also, a leader of that ERG. What advice would you have for maybe other companies that want to build out these types of communities, but don't have them today?
Yeah. So many, stepping back, oftentimes I think ERGs are formed at companies when there's sort of a time of crisis. So let's say there's a lot of news swirling in the world about a certain topic. It's often at that time that companies sort of reactively decide to invest in creating those communities internally. And so first piece of advice is, that can feel a little bit disingenuous, and you don't sort of have then, if you do it that way, that foundation in place to begin with. So it's really important to try to kick off things like building ERG communities kind of before you're in one of those crisis moments where you really need to be able to tap into and provide support to folks who might be experiencing, stress in their everyday that you want to be able to give more support to. So I know, it's always hard, especially at smaller companies, to know when to start really investing in your ERGs. I think very basic advice is just to start small. It doesn't have to be a huge investment to start, but to really take some time to understand, who your employees are and what their needs are. And then your leadership team needs to develop trust with the individuals across your organization so they really feel safe being part of a formal ERG. It can feel scary for people, to formally join an ERG or especially to help lead one. So really finding those individuals in your organization and building strong bonds with them, especially amongst your company's leadership team, is super important.
Absolutely. What are some of the benefits that you see in forming ERGs? What benefits do those have on companies?
Yeah, I think they have so many benefits. I think at Etsy, we're really known for cultivating a very diverse and active workforce. And so it's really impacted just overall our culture and how we attract and retain great employees. And then in addition to everything else I mentioned, there's been lots of studies that have shown that investing in ERGs and then any kind of safe spaces for your employees to be their authentic selves at work does have real monetary impact on how the business operates. And of course, it helps you have better engagement and retention of your employees.
Definitely. Thank you, Blair. I just have one more question for you. As a manager at Etsy, how have you helped your team create community in kind of this post-pandemic world where so many of us are working, in a full-time virtual work environment?
Yeah. I try to do this every day in small ways as a manager. So I do little things like in my team's weekly meeting, we always kick off the meeting by doing highs and lows for the week. And that's often a space just for people to share what's even happening, just in their personal life. Sometimes, people keep it just about what's happening at work, but it's a really nice space for people to just share they're having some stress at home, or they're really excited about, a vacation they have coming up with their family. We also do a weekly kind of rotating icebreaker, things we did during the pandemic that were especially helpful for creating more connection was like we did each week, somebody else different did a tour of their home. So you got to see, you could kind of imagine where your colleagues working and spending all their days while you're working together. We're doing right now top 10 favorite meals, which is very fun and inspiring for everyone, as you would imagine. So just finding those, small moments to really create connection and feel like we're getting to know each other on an ongoing basis.
I love it. Thank you so much, Blair. You're an incredible leader, an incredible person. It's been so great working with you and the entire Etsy team. I think that wraps up our session, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Melissa for our next one.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Cait. Bye.
Thank you for that. You just gave me an idea. We're going to do TMP to come on that. Hi, everyone. Savory, Senior Director for Enterprise Partnerships here at the Mom Project. I am and Micah, and I'm coming to you from the world, New York City. He is the, wait for it, Boeing Defense Space and Security of Contingent Labor. Brett first have done such incredible work together in 2022, close to opportunity for our community. They're by the way, that means how much money did it was almost $500,000. It's just an you, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Melissa, your audio is a little wonky for us. A little bit of feedback.
Huh. Let's see.
Yeah, when I talk, I get a, is that better, everybody? Can everybody hear me okay? All right, so I'll take a shot at starting. Sorry, Belissa, with your issues. I'm sure you'll get them fixed. But hi, everybody. Brett Gerber. I have a couple of roles at Boeing. One, I'm the head of talent acquisition for Boeing Space, Defense, and Security. All the full-time hiring we do in that space, and I'm incredibly proud to represent a company like Boeing today. Another role I have at Boeing is I'm the head of global contingent labor. So all of the contractors that we hire across the globe, and we're on our way to nearly spending $1 billion just on contractors across the globe. I lead those teams across the world, but I've always been a talent acquisition guy. I'm lucky at Boeing where the intersection of contingent labor and the perm hiring we do, I get to play in both spaces. We think all of the talent that we try to get is hard to attain and very important to keep. I love that the journey that I've been on my entire life, I get to maximize its potential here at Boeing. So I've been in talent acquisition for more than 20 years, and I enjoy that profession a ton. And I've been at Boeing now for 7 years total. Hoping to keep that going.
Awesome. And now thumbs up, can you hear me better now?
I think it's better, Belissa. Yeah, thanks.
It is? Okay, awesome. Sorry, everyone, about that. Did everybody hear the introduction, or was it just a big blur?
No, we heard it. It was just a little wonky.
A little wonky. Well,
yeah.
All I was saying is that Boeing is a great partner, and we hope to continue that into 2023. I think sometimes, thank you for sharing a little bit about your career. We hear Boeing, and it's not always, the first thought is not flexibility, but you all have done such a great work for our talent community. I wanted to talk about your tagline, transforming the way the world moves. You can really just interpret that in so many ways. What does that mean to you, and how are you leading the charge to make Boeing a family-friendly employer?
Yeah, great question. And so it does have a couple of meanings for me. I mean, number one, I think we make some of the world's most important products. And we're really proud of that. Whether we're building the world's most important satellites, for our commercial space, but also government space programs, helping build the space station, building the world's largest rocket, or building advanced warfighter machines like the F-15, the F-18. Of course, you've heard of our commercial line of airplanes, 777 and the 787 and 737. I mean, really changing the way we move about this world, right? But in another way, we want to be a very responsible employer, and we want to be a generational employer, as we call it. So, it is not unusual for us to have generations and generations of families working for us, where a father's daughter starts as an intern and then eventually becomes an engineer and has a lifelong career of her own here. It starts, one thing that's unique with us is we've really spent a lot of time developing what we call a seek, speak, and listen culture. And by embracing these 3 simple habits, seek, speak, and listen, we think we make better decisions, we drive innovation, we build connections. But what we do is we really seek out the places in our company where things aren't going well, where there might be anxiety, where we might need to really learn and address issues before they become problems. We make sure we get all perspectives on the table, and we sure every team member feels safe to speak up and speak their mind and contribute. So I think that in that way, we're transforming the lives of our workers and the work community around us just as much as our products.
Generational employer, that is certainly a term that I've not heard before, and it really speaks volumes, right? When you can recommend something to your family, a livelihood to your family, really speaks volumes about the culture there. And then speaking of culture, jumping right in, I think one of the things when the Mom Project talks to potential partners is talking about your culture, right? Why is this a great place for our talent community to work at? And so everyone has a wonderful careers page. We've all seen it. We get really excited. And sometimes
that doesn't happen, right, when we get to the organizations. And so what is Boeing doing differently, mainly to be held accountable? And if you could talk about some of those diversity initiatives, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are a large employer for sure. I think we have nearly 160,000 employees. Last year, we added a net 15,000 new positions, hiring over 23,000 folks. And this year alone, maybe it's contrary to the headlines, but we'll add another 10,000 net roles globally, mostly in the U.S. This year. And with that comes a responsibility of ours to hire as diversely as we can. I mean, listen, being a partner of the Mom Project is so easy. Your values and your mission aligns with us perfectly. One thing about Boeing is we become ever more transparent, where we fall short, where we need to do better. One thing we publish, the very few companies publish, and you can find it on our website, the one for 2022 is out, the 2022 Global Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Report, where we lay flat our organization and show our goals and commitments to diversity and inclusion, but also show where we're falling flat, or we're not meeting the mark, or where we want to do better. Women were 23% of our total workforce in the U.S. Last year. And so we know we can do much better. Traditionally, of course, we hire into some job categories where there hasn't traditionally been a lot of women in, like engineering. But with our investment in STEM, and then, STEM's own ability to attract girls, women into these professions, that's really changed the landscape of available talent, I think. But we are still working hard to hire as many women as we can into our workforce. And one other thing that I think is different and neat, we have a goal tied to compensation that of our positions, of our manager positions, 95% of our searches need to include a final qualified candidate of a woman or an ethnic minority. 95% is our goal, and it's tied to our compensation. That's how much we believe in it. And that's been just a tremendous tool, program to put in place to make a difference. And we've already seen improvements in just the last 2 years.
That's incredible, and definitely commendable when you're tying it to their pay. I think they're definitely going to start making
the whole company's pay. The whole company's pay.
The whole company. So not just the HR department. You're talking
no, the whole
managers.
Company's pay is tied to that, and that's just how much we believe in it. We also have diverse interview panels. So if you come to show up for an interview at the Boeing company, you're going to be interviewed by a woman as well, and or minorities. So we think that those are great values to live.
That's incredible. And one of the things that I wanted to debunk today was the perception that Boeing isn't family friendly because of your manufacturing, and it's all airplanes and engines, and you mentioned some of the challenges with engineering and perhaps technology. But what are some of the others, more mom friendly positions that you're hiring for right now?
A good question. I mean, I like to think of them all as mom friendly. Listen, we hire moms every day.
Touché.
And they are some of our greatest employees, I am sure. But there is no mistake that some positions maybe lend towards a less virtual type of experience at Boeing. Obviously, if you come into manufacturing, we had a great history with Rosie the Riveter, right, from years ago, and the men went off to war and the women stepped up and were 40% of the factories back then. And so we have great women certainly working on our lines, building planes and helicopters and rockets and such. But that's a different type of job for some moms. So, but listen, we are a large company. project management, HR, training, supply chain, quality, just some of the areas that are easy to attract moms into, some of which are very flexible and might even be fully virtual roles. So we think we're a good fit for the Mom Project just because of the diversity of our workplace. Plus, we're in about 40 markets across the United States, another 20 internationally. So usually we can find a place close to home for someone to work.
Absolutely. And I think, one of the things that I can speak to based on our experience working with Boeing is your flexibility and your openness to say, what do we need to do to alter? You and I had this conversation very early on, alter some of our job descriptions so that we can get more moms and families applying for our roles. So thank you for that as well. And I think I have one more question here. Crystal ball. Every day we're hearing new announcements of companies asking employees to come back on site, kind of pre-COVID, while others continue to involve the type of flexibility that they offer. And I'll caveat by saying that flexibility itself is just a diverse term, right? It means different things to different people. Where do you see it leading towards? And this is just, industry-wide. Do you think that they're going to lean more towards flexibility or start to reel it in a little bit more?
Well, there's no doubt that the COVID issue created a ton of new flexibility across our workforce and taught our workforce to work in different ways than it ever worked before, and taught our workforce to collaborate in different ways than it's ever worked before. I would tell you the trend is definitely towards coming back to work more. Let's not deny that. We see the headlines on that. I think Boeing's the same way. We have roles in our factories where we want our workers next to our product. We build at the heart of most things. Boeing is a manufacturer. So most of our sites, we're building a product. And so even the engineering or the quality, some of those roles we want next to the product with manufacturing. So, that's certainly the trend. However, I will tell you, we're a large enough employer. And listen, my whole team, we all work virtual. We still have large pockets where we be as flexible as we can, not just with where you work, but when you work. And I think that that's really important. We look at the future of work, having availability of the workforce, people coming back into the workforce, only wanting to be in the workforce a little bit, all those things. We need to be as flexible as we can to kind of meet the needs of our business and move the business forward. So I think you'll always see, to some degree, in a lot of our sites, as much flexibility as we can offer.
Well, thank you for the flexibility. Thank you for the partnership, and to our talent community, you heard it here today. This is a company that you should go and try to find yourself some opportunity here via themomproject.com. Just incredible work, Brett. Thank you. Please continue the great work that you're doing to accelerate female workforce participation. We see you and we thank you. And I'm going to toss it back to Rocky Howard.